we'll get started, even though most people have not yet arrived, but I want to do this while the market is open so I can show you some of the features of HGS Investor. I'm going to, just for 1 second, put my picture up on the screen, show you that I'm still alive and going strong. I've been working with HGS Investor for 22 years, and this program has changed dramatically during that time, and it's only gotten more powerful. And my goal today is to show you the features of the software, some of the features of the software. Now, a lot of people know a lot about HGSI, but they really don't know all of the things you can do with it, is what I should say. And I'm going to try to show some of those things. I won't cover everything, and this is a question and answer session, so if you have questions I would like you to ask. I've been trading the markets since 1983. I'm 77 years old now, and still going strong, still enjoy it. I'm not nearly as active as I used to be because priorities change as you get older. And but anyway, let's get started. I'll get my picture off of here. I just wanted to say hello and show you my messy office. Okay, we're calling this, let me just bring this up to the correct size and swap these. Calling this office hours with HGS Investor, it's just something that the marketing person came up with, and it's a question and answer session essentially, and demonstration to show you what the software can do, because most people, when they open the box, or install the software, and Stephen, I just saw your quote. My office is pretty messy, according to my wife anyway. When you install HGSI, it can be overwhelming. There's no question about it. And I've been using the software for 22 years, probably 22 years. So I know probably more about it than anybody does, at least my methodology. So anyway, standard risk disclaimer. I'm not going to read this to you. You've seen it before. I'll just read these two. Any stock, index, or ETF mentioned in this presentation is not a recommendation to buy or sell. All trading strategy are used at your own risk. If you don't use HGSI, you should give it a try and subscribe. It's there's a 30-day free trial. Just go to highgrowthstock.com and you'll find the link to the free trial. You don't have to put a credit card in. Okay, now I'm going to show you 2 slides, and that's it. I don't like to sit and look at a bunch of slides, and I know you probably don't either. So let's talk a little bit about this and the market. How much of the stock price is driven by the market, stocks, and groups, and so on. Now this was done many years ago by my former partner, Ian Woodward, who unfortunately passed away. I believe it's been close to 6 years now, 5.5, 6 years. Anyway, he was a real student of the market, and he studied stuff like this. And he, at the time, markets account for 40 to 45% of the market movement. I think it's higher than that. And we've seen that very clearly recently. When the market gets in a funk, everything goes. So let's bump this up to 50, 60%. And then groups or sectors, they have a strong influence on what happens in the markets. We've seen that when oil prices were shooting up, and again recently, that the dominant sector and industry groups were contained in the energy sector. And then a stock, if you have a hot stock, no matter what the market conditions are doing, it can do what it wants to do. And but these, like I said, this is a very old slide, but I just want to bring it up rather than making anything new, because it really illustrates that you just don't go out and buy a stock without considering the market and groups also. And then finally, this is a daily chart I put out in the morning. I put it out through Twitter, and I also put it out in the HGSI bulletin board. And this is what I look at. This is the NASDAQ. It's in my Major Markets Plus folder, and I bring this chart up every day, and it's specific to the NASDAQ. And here's what I look for. I'm going to put this up here. First of all, I'll look down here and see if there's a VPA flag. One of the really strengths of HGSI are VPA flags. Now, these are short-term indicators, of course, and they don't always work out because right here, the criteria was meant for an effort to rise, and you can see that it was a one-day move, and then news came into the market and it failed. But when you consider it also with support and resistance, now this is a close-up view, but support was right in here also, back in this area over here. That was a place that I thought the market might hold, and it did, and it gapped up. It had a strong day, then a gap, and then yesterday was a shakeout. Today, I'll take a look here at the market after I finish this slide, and we'll see what it's doing today. But we had what was called a low volume test yesterday. And all of these other factors are also considered in the software. Volume yesterday was less than average. Look how low this volume was yesterday. After a relatively strong volume spike the day before with a volume pocket pivot. This is not a true pocket pivot because it's not down here in a pocket, but I use the criteria in the program to show what is happening with the volume. Okay, well, hang on. I'm going to get to that. Page 1, Lesson 1 will not be covered exactly, but I'm going to cover the basics of the program if you give me a minute. I'm just showing what I look for in the market. And then all this information is over here in the window. It shows where we are from the 52-week high and so on. I don't need to read all this, but this is what I look at every day. Because why? Because the market is such an important component of what a stock is going to do. And then I'll put some comments in here and explain what I'm feeling that day, or what I'm analyzing that day, and what my thoughts are. And I was pretty bullish this morning. And what happened with the market today? It started out very bullish, and then, like so many other days that we've seen in the markets, it pulled back again because there are just too many things to deal with. As I pointed out this morning, danger is everywhere. Ukraine, OPEC, North Korea, inflation, interest rates, you name it. There's all kinds of things to deal with. So you need to get a feel for what's going on in the market. Okay, let me get out of this, and let's get into the program. Okay, now getting on with some basic stuff. And the thing is, this is such a powerful program. It's hard to explain the basics in one lesson. I do have beginners videos on the site. If you go to the site, they are linked from there, and you can go in there and get started that way. But I'll try to cover some things here. First of all, there are several modules. There's the designer, which is the database, the charting module, the ranking module, where we can compare relative strength, the warehouse, which is a screening module, and then the update. And then there's intraday data if you're using Thinkorswim in the background, and if you're overseas, there is a data service that is inexpensive that can be used. And then I don't need to go into these preferences and so on. Those are contained in the basic videos, which are linked from the website. Let's start with the designer. Before I do that, though, let's just take a quick look at the market. There's, what, an hour left right now, and I want charts. Okay. Well, here's the NASDAQ 100 futures. There's VPA flags also in the Thinkorswim program that I have, and you can see yesterday it didn't generate the test, whereas HGSI did, but it looks like we're forming potentially a flag here. Even with all the negativity in the market and so on, this market kind of feels like it wants to go a little bit higher. When it got down in this area, you can see the volume was really increasing as people were bailing out, and then we had the gap opening down and then the reversal spike, which supported the market. And if I put, this is the NASDAQ futures, but if I put this crosshair on here, this is the support area that I was talking about, and support held. Okay, so we're down. Last time I looked at this an hour ago, we were up, so we're just all over the place. That's why this is such a dangerous market to be playing right now. But there are areas of strength. Now let's start here with the designer. The designer is the database of the software. And you can see that it's broken down into groups. These are groups that you cannot change. Then there are what we call custom groups, which generate certain information based upon filters and combo rankings, which I've put in there. And then these are smart groups for people that just want to look at a certain type of stock. For example, here with Ian and I designed these many years ago, but they're still very valid. For example, a lot of people like to look at stocks with consistent earnings growth, and if that's all you're interested in, you can come to this smart group. And then we have the ability to make any kind of index that we want to. So going down here into these user groups, these are all indexes that are created. I'm sorry, this is what I want, the major market analysis user groups. These are all in groups that can be created and are generated by HGS Investor. Now, I just took a quick look at the market using Thinkorswim, but I really want to know what's going on in the market right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into one of these groups that I've created. All of these indexes are generated by HGS Investor. And I'm going to go up here to the Tools menu, and I'm going to take the intraday data that is being updated in the background, and I'm going to rebuild these groups. Now this takes 30 seconds when I'm not recording to go in and rebuild all of these groups. And you can see what I have here. I have the sectors, and I have the NASDAQ 100, the Russell 2000, so on, the 500, and then I have the industries. So from this point on, what I can do is I can go top down. Now I created this folder and put all of these indexes in here, and it's just about done. Like I said, I timed it today. It took 30 seconds to do this. Now I'm going to click through, and I'm going to go down here. Since these are HGSI indexes, I'm going to go down here to Scorecard Views for HGSI Index Analysis. These views are for regular market analysis. These views are for ETFs, and this is for HGSI. Now I can look at this and I can see that every one of these sectors are negative right now except for the energy sector. So we're not having a great day, as we can see looking at Thinkorswim. But this is what has happened since the beginning of the week, and you can see that these markets were generally up, but today they're pulling back. The only one that's been negative all week is the utilities index. Since the beginning of the week, it's down 1.6%, 1.3% for 5 days, and down 2.9% for 1 day. Now, where has the strength been? Just go up here and look at the energy index. Now, over here on the right, you can see the advancing issues versus the declining issues, but I prefer to drop down to view number 3 because the raw combo sorts this for me, and I can quickly see how many advancing issues there are compared to decliners. And if you look at these numbers down this column right here, if it's below 1, it's negative. So if we go down here to the Dow Industrials, it's 0.7. That means it's more than 10 to 1 negative on that. If I go to the S&P 500, it's 0.20, which is 4 to 1 negative. So I get a real feel for the market very quickly. And if I want to see what's happening down at the industries level, I can see that there are 29 indexes up and 144 down at this point. So very negative on the number of industry groups. These are the industry groups. If I change to this, it automatically changes to the industry groups. So I can look over here and I can see what's leading. This is the AD. This is based upon AD, not percentage price change. There are 6 advancers, 1 decliner. So that is the strongest group based upon the advancers versus decliners. Here's exploration and production, which is strong with 56 up and 19 down. If I want to go down to explore these, I just change to the industry group, and now I am in the stocks, but I want to go to a different view, so I'll quickly just go down here. I can go to lots of different views, but I'm just going to go down here and click on this one, number 6, and it's going to quickly show me the stocks that are up in this group for the day. And if you look right here, this is the intraday change, this is the intraday range, and this is the intraday volume compared to the 90-day volume. I use 90-day volume, we use 90-day volume because the VPA flags are based upon that. So where is the strength, or TGA, or the percentage price change is right here, 6.57, and the intraday range is clear up at 95.65. So I can see that this one has a very strong move up on a percentage basis, and it's holding near its high of the day. Volume is above average. This one, these are both inexpensive stocks, 357. This is 898, 4.42%, and the intraday range is 98.08. So let's just bring this one up, even though, well, it's not a bad stock as far as price. Now this is one of the charts that I have in my files as far as the Insider Club. And what it does, I call it my intercut and rally charts. And what it does is look for stocks, or it doesn't look for stocks. Let me restate that. It gives me all of the analysis I need based upon what I have over here in my warehouse view. So let's just take a look. I'm going to go across this and point things out. This is last night's information. The volume was above average, the spread was wide, and the close was very high. So that corresponds to this candle right here. Now today, that same information is now generated in here. Volume is low today, the spread's above average, and the close is very high, which corresponds to this candle right here. This line, which when I rebuilt those indexes, updated the groups, and you can see that the group is going up. This is the exploration and production group. The group rank is 95, which is almost near the top. It's in the energy sector. There are 87 stocks in this group. But this is the current information right here. And this is the end of day chart. Let's take this off, and I'm going to go to the same chart, but this has the intraday information, and I can quickly see that volume is running well below normal. And if you look over here, you can see the volume spike, or lack of volume spike. Now that little magenta tip there, that is the estimated volume for the day. Now staying on this chart, I'm going to go over here, and this column right here is the days since the 3 crossed the 6. That says 2. The crossover day is always 0. So that happened 3 days ago. On this chart, this is the crossover day. This is the crossover day. And there was an effort to rise also. This column here is the volume point of control based upon 10 days. It turned positive 5 days ago. It turned positive as these accumulation bars were showing up in the software. How do I know these are accumulation bars? Because this area is light green. I have scans for this in the program that pick these stocks up as they're starting to appear based upon accumulation. And then when you get the crossover day, this histogram here turns up. These blue bars right here represent volume pocket pivots. Like I said earlier, they're not truly pocket pivots because that would be down in here, but I use the same criteria to get these bars, which means the volume is higher on that day than it has been either in the prior 5 or 10 days. So you can see what happens when a stock is in demand here. This area is blue. When it's not in demand or going the other way, these are negative pocket pivots. So there's selling going on. But just with this one chart, I can get, I do have all kinds of information which corresponds to this over here. Let's take a look. Okay, this moved up to number 1 now because it resorts every 5 minutes based upon the combo rank. And for the newbies, the combo rank takes this information and drives the stock based up on this. So I've weighted the intraday percentage price change at 50%, and I've weighted the intraday range at 50%. And those that meet the criteria best will go to the top of the list. Compare this stock, which is up 4.3%, trading at 96% of its range, to this stock that is only up 39 cents, trading at 45% of its daily range. Huge difference, and the combo rank is what drives it, which puts the stocks that best meet the criteria at the top of the list. Anyway, let's go across here a little bit more. All this information I covered. The This is a box 7 stock. For the newbie, that's not going to mean anything to you. It just means it's a turnaround stock. But the earnings per share rank is 97. The relative strength rank is 98. And the group rank is 95 for a combined total of 290. And if I bring this chart back up and show you the fundamental panel, just by clicking on this, you can see that the earnings growth on this stock has been tremendous. It turned around back here. It was not doing as well, but the blue and red lines here show you the progression of earnings per share and also of revenue growth. Revenue growth and earnings per share growth have been extremely strong recently. So this stock has turned around. Don't use PEs much anymore, but 5.31 PE. It doesn't yield anything. It's a low risk. Well, not a low risk. No stock is low risk. Don't get me wrong. But it's got fundamentals. It's got strong fundamentals. And what drives these stocks? Okay, I mentioned earlier how important the group is. Let's just look at this. Put an arrow on here. You can see as the group was going down, what was this stock doing? It was going down. When the market turned around, when this stock started moving up, other stocks in the group started moving up too. So all this information is found in just a single chart. Any questions about that? Okay, well, let's move on. I'm going to go, now I moved around so much I can't go directly back to the industry groups. So what I can do is I can quickly go back here and you can see all of these industry groups in here. I'm going to go back to I need to close some of this up just to make it easier to see. So I'll close my reference groups. I'm back here at the group where I originally started. If I take the filter off, here we are again. And if I click back through, then I could go top down again. But top down takes time. It takes a lot of time. But you can quickly find, it takes time. If you know what you're doing, you can quickly find stocks. But if you don't know what you're doing, there are other methods of doing it. Now let's do something else. Let's go into this designer again. And I do this during the day. I'm going to go into these user smart groups. And I'm pulling data in the background into the program. And I want to see what's happening in the market. But I need to update these industry groups first. So I'm just going to rebuild them. And what the rebuild does is it goes in and pulls out the current prices on all of these stocks. And then I can go in here, click on these, and these are 100 stocks and groups moving up and down during the day. It says rebuild the user smart groups, which I just did. So I'm going to click through. If you look over here, you can see there are 98. Maybe there's a couple that don't meet the basic criteria. You can see there are 100 now. And now I'm going to go down into my regular groups, my daily prospecting scans, and I'm going to click on intraday. I'm sorted on that raw combo again. So what's it doing? It's driving the best stocks to the top of the list based upon that criteria. Here's a stock that's up 22.62%, and it's trading at 97.74% of its daily range. But let's go back over here, and you can see that this must be a fresh stock to the upside because it's been down for 33 days and down 1 day on the volume point of control. Let's take a look at it. I know nothing about this stock. Well, it's a little cheap stock. But you can see, looking at this histogram here, that it's been down. Suddenly there's a lot of interest in this stock today because there's a pocket pivot, there's a VPA flag, strength seen returning after a downtrend, high volume adds to the strength. So you'd have to go look up the news on this stock, and the easiest way to do that, hold your alternate N key, and whatever service you're booked into, I just happen to be in bar chart because they're the data supplier. You can see this is now up 24%, and I don't know if there's news or not, but I'll click over here. It's a cannabis stock, it looks like. And there isn't any fresh news on it since September 8th. But you can get news on any of these sources by going to more info from the web and selecting the service you like. I just happen to use bar chart. Okay, so let's take a look at this. I'm going to use what's called the spectrum analyzer. And out of these 100 stocks, this is how the market breaks down today. Biotech, 22 stocks. Exploration and production, 12. Specialty pharma, 9, and so on. So you can see this market is being dominated by biotech. Now, I looked over at my other computer. I can see the market's coming back. It'll be interesting to see where it closes. But anyway, this is how I get a read on what's happening. A quick read just by updating those user smart groups. Now, these are all of the stocks. If I want to look at stocks between $1 and $15, I go to this view, and it's probably going to be dominated by biotech. And here it is, biotech and specialty pharma. If you like to only look at inexpensive stocks, this is the smart group to look at. Now I'm going to go down here. These are stocks that are down for the day. As you can see, everything's red. REITs, there's biotech, of course. Autos are all down today. Except for RIVN. I've got some shares of RIVN, and it's up because it's been promoted. Well, a lot of people think that's the next up-and-coming electric vehicle. We'll see. Anyway, but they're all down today. Renewables are down, but you can see how quickly you can just get a feel for these, looking at the market by leaving the spectrum analyzer up and clicking on this. Now I'm going to go back up to these that are up today, and I'm going to do some other prospecting. Does anybody have any questions? I know I'm covering a lot of material. This is being recorded, and you can come back and review it. There's so much to cover in here. I'm just trying to give you an overall view. And if you like doing these sessions, we'll do them every few weeks or every month, and I'll slow down and concentrate on specific parts of the program. But I'm trying to give you an overall view right now. So, thanks, John. So here we are. These are my warehouse views that are shipping with the Insider Club files. Now, here's the end of day from yesterday of these stocks. Let me sort on that combo again, get back up to the top. So this is the way it looked yesterday. These are the stocks that were up yesterday. And this combo view right here, remember this sorts it. If I take this off and go down to the next view, which is intraday, we can see this did not change. Let me go back. Let me redo that. I'm sorry. I went too fast on that, even for myself. Okay, so what's at the top here? Pineapple Energy, Rolvant Sciences, and so on. So I'm looking at end of day. If I were doing end of day prospecting, this is what I would see with this view. Now, if I want to see which of these are carrying through the next day, and this can be any group. I realize this is today's group, but this could be all securities or anything. If I want to see which of these from last night carried through to today, I just disengage this and I go down to my next view, which is intraday, and notice that Pineapple Energy and Rollvent Sciences are still in their positions, and you can see that they followed through today. Wow, look at Pineapple Energy. What's going on here? Huge. Should have been trading today. Anyway, let's look at this. It's a cheap stock. What is it? It's a renewable energy stock. There's probably news on it. Let's start here. Look at the group. The group's been up, down, and up, and down, up, down today. But this one is going contrary to the group. So going back to my opening statements, even if the group and market are going down, there's always a few stocks that are going to be going up. It's had a pocket pivot here, here, and here. You can see the crossover day because it went from light green. This is accumulation day. This is when it was showing up here on this VPA flag. If I click on this and click here, it tells you that there were two VPA flags, strength seen returning after a downtrend. High volume, up bar closing on the high indicates strength. So anyway, very strong move here with a pocket pivot coming out of nowhere. And this has moved up dramatically since then. I just hit my alternate 1 key to zoom in on this. So I'm going to bring up this right here. It's my annotation tools. I'm going to take it from the close on that day to the current price. And if I look down here, this thing is up 235.5% in 2 periods. Well, if you get lucky, if you get on a stock like this, and it's tough to take. They're tough to take. I'm the first one to admit it. And, especially after that gap up, but I would have to see what the news is. And I looked for news earlier today on this, and I didn't see anything. But there is some news on it, and that is why price and volume really tell all. You can see the crossover day was it was 0, which was yesterday, and the VPOC crossed over that down here, volume, darn it, don't know where it went. Crossed over back here. So here's your crossover day right here. You can see it, and it's all right here in the scorecard. Now I designed this scorecard to make it easy to see how old these signals are. So if we go down here, let's look at this one. DICE Therapeutics. This signal is 6 days old. 0 is a crossover day. Today it's up 5.36, trading at 88% of its daily range. And let's just take a look at it. Here's your crossover day. Actually right here. Let's see. 6 days ago. So, all right. Right in here, you can see it crossed over on that day. Well, I should have known that. There's a dark green bar there. It's right there for me. But there was an accumulation day here, then a shakeout day, an accumulation day, and then the crossover day. But this is very handy to see how old these stocks are, how old the signals are. And if the signals are old and you have a big move here in price, it means the demand is still there. Let's find another one down here. Actually, let's go down here and look at this one. I can quickly see that this has been, the 3 has been below the 6 for 13 days, and the volume point of control has been negative for 5 days. Don't forget the crossover day. But here we go. It's a cheap stock, but there are several days of accumulation here where these light green bars are. So somebody's buying this, and today it gapped down. There's a stopping volume flag, and it's moving up. Pretty inexpensive stock. Let's do one that's a little more reasonable. Here's one 12 days ago. It turned negative, and the VPOC turned negative 9 days ago. But yet it's up today. And also, if you look here, well, let me go to this area. I don't have crossover down on here, but you can see it down here on the histogram where this bar went negative. That's where it turned negative. There was an accumulation day on each of these, but I like to wait for a crossover day after the accumulation. But the accumulation days make you aware that something could be happening, something good in the future, and here it's crossing over today with a pocket pivot. I know nothing about this company. It's relatively new because there's not much earnings history on it. It's a utility, 2.1% yield on it. But just by using this scorecard, it's very easy to see how old these signals are and what's happening today. So once again, this group, these are 100 stocks that are up today. This is where the strength is. Now, using this same group, and it looks like everything is still up, I can look, just go down through my views here and click on some of these. Now, the impulse reaction just looks for stocks that have pulled back a little bit from a recent high. This is view number 2A, intraday. You can see right here, here was the pullback from the recent high. Look at it going today. So, in an uptrend, these stocks are all in a fan uptrend. With the 200 is here, the 100, the 50, the 18, the 6, and the 3. These four right here are the fan. The 200, the 100, the 50, and the 18. So the fan's up. The stock's in an uptrend. It's been basing. Here's a crossover here. The 3 never did come down to challenge the 6. So it's a nice setup. There was a pullback here. Relative strength is 96. Let's look at the next stock. Slight pullback here from the prior day's high. What do we have here? We have a flag. I'd call it a flag. I could be wrong, but here's a flagpole, and then several days moving sideways. Here is a low volume test, and here is a confirmation of that test. So all the information you need. The industry group is application software. It's flat, but this stock has been strong because the fan is in place and it pulled back. Let's move on. Time goes so quickly when I'm doing these. Okay, now here's a bullish crossover today out of this group on the VPOC, which was crossed over here yesterday. The zero would be yesterday, and then you can see that it's green again today. So here's the crossover right down here on this bar. It's trying to go higher. Bring the quick pick up. I run through these when I'm trading most days, and I'm not trading all the time, but if I'm looking for something, I'll just pull these smart groups up, and then in the morning I'll run through these. Now here's the VPOC 1010 is positive, and the 3 and 6 are crossing over. So if you look down here, and there's a 2-day window on this. So zeros crossed over yesterday, 1's crossed over 2 days ago, and these are up today. Okay, here's the crossover day back here. Another, I give a 2-day window in case we miss 1 day, and then looks what's happening here. Effort to rise, pocket pivot. Accumulation days here, here, and here, then the crossover days. Tilray, that's a... See if I can find anything that I recognize. Let's look at interactive brokers. The VPOC crossed over 4 days ago. The 3 went above the 6 2 days ago, right here on interactive brokers. And here it is. Good crossover, Follow through again today. Volume's relatively light. You can see that right here. The group's going down. So this is trading contrary to the group. Okay. I'm going to go down another one. This one, all of these have to contain a pocket pivot also, or an effort to rise flag. I'm just going to do one here, or two. I'll do a couple. But notice the pocket pivots here. So all the other criteria, the crossovers, plus the pocket pivot are required for this. Let's look at one more. Not that one. Okay, pocket pivot, effort to rise, so pocket pivots are required. I'm not going into these in depth, I'm just giving you an overall view. Now this is what I call my continuation indicator. And the continuation indicator requires the crossovers, they have to both be positive, and a pocket pivot has to appear, but there is no crossover. It's beyond the crossover days. So this is why I call it continuation. Let's go down here and look at this one, which happened 6 days ago. Here was the crossover. Here was the continuation yesterday. Not today. This is today. Here's a continuation yesterday because there was a pocket pivot. And look how this stock gapped up and is moving today. This is semi-manufacturing, and the group is flat. Let's do one more. I'll try to find something I recognize. Let's look at Occidental Petroleum. That happened 5 days ago, 0 being the crossover day, right here. But see the requirements in action here. All of these are volume pocket pivots because the up volume is more than any down volume over the previous 5 or 10 days. Okay, Ralph, that's fine. Thanks. I'll get the recording out later. Anyway, here's your crossover day. Here's your crossover day. This here was also a continuation signal because the price, the 3 was above the 6, and here, and here also, and also today. So what this scan does is it lets us find stocks that have already triggered, but they're still going. The safest bets are obviously when it's crossing over. But why ignore stocks that continue to go higher? It's just there's too many good stocks that you shouldn't ignore. Okay, let's quickly go down here. I can't believe how fast the time goes. This is a counter trend. None of these are counter trend stocks. Perfect speculator stocks hitting a 52 or 3.25 year high. Nothing there. Nothing on the 52-week high. So let's go on down here to the most active up. So out of this same user smart group, these are the most active stocks today based upon my filter criteria. And if I bring this chart up, this is that one of those cheap stocks. Look at the volume here. That's why it's the most active, in the most active list. This one here also, well above average volume. Cheap stock. These are all cheap stocks. This one isn't. Tilray, this is a it's under specialty pharma, but it's a cannabis stock. At one time, this was a high flyer. Let's just go in here. Let's do a weekly. I'm going to do a yearly chart. Look at this. This traded up on this to $300 at one time. And it's been nothing but downhill since. So if you don't believe in stops, you're in trouble. Let's bring that other chart back up. But there's news on it today. I think I've seen some other cannabis stocks. Maybe it's a industry-wide thing. So anyway, there are many scans here under my files, and like I said, I'm doing this very quickly just to give you an overview. Here's high relative volume every day. Here's market leaders intraday. These are what I consider leading stocks. So if you want to see the market leaders out of this group here, the stocks and groups moving up, it's all right here for you. Here's the pharma. Look at that pocket pivot today. Look at the J flag, or the low volume test with a confirmation, commonly known as a J flag within the Insider Club group. Here's another one. Test, confirmation today. Look at these accumulation days before it goes, and then here's your trigger right here, and it's moved up nicely since then. Okay. Any questions about that? I know I went through this very quickly, but I'm just trying to show you how you can narrow this down and find stocks that are crossing over recently. And the groups that are moving. Everything is contained in the chart and this warehouse view. And if you use the smart groups, you can run this intraday, or you can do it end of day. Now here is one intraday. All of these have to have the fan up. I explained what the fan does and how they have to be spread apart. So these are all trending stocks. Let's just put this in here. These were up when I rebuilt these, but there's a few that have come down. And there were not 100 of them. Why? Because the fan has to be up. Let's just look at Permian Resources, and I'll go out a little bit. This may not look like the fan is up, but these are all stacked properly. The 200, the 100, the 50, and the 18. So the fan is up on this one, and that's why it came up in this group. Now if you look at the relative strength of these stocks, it's going to be high for most of them. Why? Because the fan is up. Let's see if I can find something. You can see how the oils follow the group. Group goes down, stock's going down. Okay, now here's a little nicer fan on this one. 200, the 100, 50, the 18, the 3 crossed over the 6 right here. And this has been an excellent trade based upon that. How old is this signal? It's 5 days. Not counting today. This is last night's information. So 5 days ago, it crossed over. This would have been a 0 on those days. And it crossed over with a 99 relative strength ranking. And it's in a group that is moving. So you can see if you just scan on these, and let me go to those scans to show you where they are. I just use a scorecard, but there are scans designed for this. I use the scorecard and I'll look for crossovers. See if there are any. This is a real old signal, probably a buyout, but if I want to quickly find them, you can see these are down to the negative side. This happened 8 days ago to the downside, but the stock is up today just slightly. I'm not going to look at that one. Here's one that's up 332. International Seaways, it turned negative 2 days ago. And it's up today. So what do we have here? We have 2 accumulation days. Not a crossover day to day, but this is the kind of stock that you can put in your watch list because there are buyers here. How do I know there are buyers? Well, look at this. It's white. That's a test for supply. Means they didn't want it to go down any further. Buyers stepped up. And here it gapped down today, but it's closing near the high of the day. So that one could go into a watch list. Why? Because the fan is up. It's a strong stock. It's trading actually contrary to its group, which is insurance services. It may not be a big mover, but let's take a look here. Yield's 1.1%, a little bit of a yield. You can do better in T-bills. But you can get price appreciation here. Okay, let's go to a recent one. You see why I use the scorecard? I can quickly go down here. This happened 2 days ago. It's up again today. I'm looking for one here. This happened 2 days. The VPOC, or volume point of control, happened 3 days ago. This crossed over 2 days ago. It's up 9.76% today. Let's look at the chart. The fan is up. This is a sloppy fan, though, as you can see. This kind of stock that'll drive you crazy. I don't look at loose charts like that, or I don't buy them, that's for sure. Let's look at this one here. Well, here's a decent fan. You can see how it's stacked. Here's the accumulation day. It did cross over, but it isn't dark green here. Why? Because there's a black candle. I like to have the white candle. Now I could change that in the filter by just having. I like to see on the crossover days. I like to see a white candle. Okay, let's go back in here, and I want to point out that if you're in the Insider Club, I build all of these scans for you, the Smart Group scans. If you want these scans only, this is what I'm using now. And if you want these just like this, I'm going to go to my main menu. I'm going to go under Member Services, Insider. Whoops, wrong one. Sorry about that. Let me do that again. And if you get the newsletter, there is a link right here. These are all my videos going back years. Forget about the old stuff, though, except for the basic things. And these, by the way, these are short videos here, most of them that show you how to use the program getting started. Here's a playlist for getting started with HGS Investor software. That's where you should go for the basic stuff. Anyway, let me get back to this. I'm going to link to this, and this will come up, and you can download and install these smart groups one at a time. Or for you, John, I did this specifically for you and other people's. Discounts for what, Rick? Talk to George. I don't know what his promotions are. Anyway, you can just download all of these, add on to install all of these smart groups at once, so you don't have to do them one at a time. But these are really powerful smart groups. This is HGSI has, let me see, okay, these are box stocks, $15 and up. Box stocks are stocks with consistent earnings growth. So I just ran this not that long ago. These are intraday. These are all the stocks that have strong earnings growth, and they're up for the day. But you can design these smart groups to do about anything you want to. Okay, I've gone an hour. Are there any questions? I think I'll shut it off here. I know I've covered a tremendous amount. If you are a newbie or want to be a newbie, you'll get a free access to the Insiders Club, and I just pointed out in that PDF there are links to starter videos there where I go through this much slower. Okay, well, thank you, everybody. Let's take a quick look at the market before we go. I know people have to get out of here, and I do too. Let's just see where we ended up. Well, okay, here's the NASDAQ 100 down 85. Just another wild day. I mean, this is what you're up against. This is a 5-minute chart. If you're a futures trader and can sit here and try to trade this, good luck. That's not for me. As you can see, I'm an end-of-day trader. I'm looking for trends. I'm looking for stocks that are setting up nicely and will hopefully go. But in a market like this, we're fighting the market. But even fighting the market, you saw that there were several stocks that were going up today, and I can pull that information out of HGSI. I can't do that with any other program that I know of. I don't know everything, but I just know the power of HGSI, and it's amazing what you can find just by running some smart groups or just by running a basic scan. Anyway, thank you for sticking with me, and I'll get this video out so you can watch it. Probably won't get it out until tomorrow. Thanks again.